The threat to the president is always if they get a knife stabbing, if they get a gunshot wound. Prevention's always the best, but if it happens, you got to have a plan. Each president, when they come into office, I think since George Washington, has had a personal physician. White House physicians is one title, and that's kind of a military set of orders that you get. But then each president can designate one political appointee to be the physician to the president. President Obama, when he came in, I was the director of the White House Medical Unit, and I think he, and probably more importantly, the First Lady, said, we want you to be the physician to the president. The physicians assigned to the White House are Army, Navy, Air Force. You have to be boarded in family medicine with pre-hospital experience, emergency medicine or internal medicine, and they like you to have operational experience. And then most importantly, you have to get the top secret SCI, which is the Yankee White, which means basically you know the movements of the president and you know any of the emergency actions that are going to be taken. So when I got there in 2000, they actually didn't have an electronic medical record. And I go, you got to be kidding. So we kind of set up a clinic over in the old executive office building. We tapped into the military Walter Reed Bethesda lab X-ray pharmacy. So that was a way to transform the White House clinic. I think I've met 5.5 presidents, and I think the first one I met was President Clinton. During the last month of his presidency, he has a presence about him, and he somehow, in that few seconds, he makes you feel like he's focused on you and you're the most important person at that time. And if you meet him or if you see him years later, he remembers anything you talked about, and he just has a unique gift. President George W. Bush, he is just very personable. He would want to poke you with a stick, and he'd want you to poke him back, just not quite as hard. So for some reason, he liked to give people nicknames. He decided the first time that I was Leno, and so just he made it so that everybody at the White House called me Leno, to the point that even his wife and others just remembered that, well, what was the doctor's name that you took care of? Oh, that was Leno. President Obama, met him a week before the inauguration. In 2012, President Obama did 200 trips that year, and as physician to the president, I did 120 of them. And so that's pretty busy. When you travel with the president, the physician, the critical care nurse have to be within 2 minutes. One neat thing was Buckingham Palace. The Obamas spent the night, and the military aide and the physician to the president got to sleep in Buckingham Palace. There is times that he focuses on you and he'll listen to every word. He'll ask great questions. And anytime I needed to give him information, I would provide a briefing book. And by the next time he engaged, he had read everything. And so he did his homework, he knew what he was talking about, and then there might be a month where, he's not gonna kind of engage in the chit-chat because he's laser focused on just other issues. And so you kind of have to be comfortable with that. The fourth president was George Herbert Walker Bush. So he was former president, but I was able to meet him, provide care at Camp David or at Kennebunkport when he was doing his presidential fatherly duties. The fifth president was President Biden. So 2009, Vice President Biden came in with President Obama. The physician to the president, which President Obama had appointed me as a full-time job. So one of the first things I got to do was appoint a physician to the vice president. I just joke a little bit about the half president. Hillary Clinton, when she was Secretary of State, she traveled a lot with President Obama on important international trips. The media portrays her one way. She was always very respectful. She was nice. She was thankful. That kind of taught me that Just judge people how your actual interactions are with them. So physicians, we have lifelong training. By far and away, my clinical training at Loma Linda was better than any place else. My first day of medical school, what I say that Dr. Werner taught me is listen to your patients. They'll tell you what's wrong with them. Don't be over enamored with technology. And then for every single patient, in their time of need, give them something. And so those three things I still think of every single day. And he was the one that gave me the list and said, you gotta buy a doctor's bag, you gotta buy a stethoscope. On my last day, they had snuck my doctor's bag, which was in my office. And so Michelle Obama and President Obama signed it with a Sharpie. And to me, it was important because it was the doctor's bag that I'd started my medical training 3 decades before at Loma Linda. So in 2013, retired from the Navy with 30 years and had the privilege to move to Orlando, Florida Hospital, AdventHealth system, which became AdventHealth, was able to join a top-notch physician leadership team. Learned how to be a chief medical officer, and then learned how to do quality and safety. And AdventHealth has the most hospitals in the U.S. with a safety grade of A. Other things that we've done is clinical transformation. So how do you improve the care to patients? We wrote a book about it called Transformative Healthcare, and with it, we've saved thousands of lives and millions of dollars. And when I was at the White House, the mantra was no policy, no politics, just trusted medical advice. And here at AdventHealth, our physician leadership team, I think it's the same. It's been rewarding in helping to provide some of that guidance.